What happens to your consciousness after you leave this earthly realm for good? Does it fade into the vast unknown, take on a new form, or simply cease to exist altogether? While you are considering that perplexing question, I invite you to take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us on the Why We Question channel for more in-depth explorations into life's greatest mysteries. In this video, we will tackle one of the most profound and thought-provoking questions humanity has ever pondered. What happens to consciousness after death? Let us dive into this timeless mystery together and see where the journey takes us. The idea of death and what might follow has fascinated and haunted human beings for as long as we have been aware of our own mortality. Across cultures, religions, philosophies, and scientific disciplines, human beings have grappled with the mystery of what happens to our sense of self, our awareness, our consciousness, when the body ceases to function. Does our consciousness, the essence of who we are, disappear like a flame extinguished in the dark? Or does it move on to something else, something we cannot yet fully comprehend? These questions have sparked endless debates, theories, and stories, but they remain unanswered and deeply compelling. From a scientific perspective, consciousness is often understood as an emergent property of the brain. This means that our thoughts, emotions, and sense of self arise from the complex interactions of neurons and electrical activity within our brains. In this view, when the brain stops functioning, consciousness stops as well. It is a straightforward and materialist view, but it is also one that many people find difficult to accept. After all, the idea that everything we are, your memories, our personalities, our awareness, could simply vanish with the death of the brain can be a challenging and unsettling concept. However, not everyone in the scientific community agrees with the idea that consciousness is entirely dependent on the brain. Some researchers propose that consciousness might be something more fundamental, something that is not limited to the physical structures of the brain. For example, some theories compare consciousness to a radio signal, with the brain acting as the receiver. If the receiver is damaged or destroyed, the signal does not necessarily disappear. It simply exists outside the broken mechanism. If this analogy holds any truth, it might suggest that consciousness could continue in some form even after the body dies. But where would it continue? And in what state? These questions remain speculative, but they open the door to fascinating possibilities. Another source of intrigue comes from the phenomenon of near-death experiences, often referred to as near-death experiences. These are experiences reported by people who have been declared clinically dead for a short period of time before being revived. Many of these individuals describe strikingly similar phenomena: tunnels of light, feelings of profound peace, encounters with deceased loved ones, and vivid life reviews where their entire lives seem to flash before their eyes. These reports have led some to suggest that near-death experiences could offer glimpses into what happens to consciousness after death. However, skeptics argue that these experiences might simply be the result of the brain's final moments, with oxygen deprivation or electrical activity creating vivid hallucinations. The truth remains elusive. Quantum physics has also been drawn into the conversation about consciousness and death. Some scientists and theorists have speculated that consciousness might have a quantum basis, existing not as a byproduct of the brain, but as a fundamental aspect of reality itself. This idea suggests that consciousness could persist in some form after death, much like energy is never truly destroyed, but simply changes form. While this concept is highly speculative and lacks concrete evidence, it raises profound questions about the nature of existence and the potential interconnectedness of all things. Philosophically, the debate over consciousness and death has a long and storied history. Philosophers such as René Descartes argued that the mind and body are separate entities. This perspective, known as dualism, implies that the death of the body does not necessarily mean the death of the mind or consciousness. Dualists believe that consciousness could continue in a non-physical realm. On the other hand, materialists assert that the mind and consciousness are entirely tied to the physical brain. According to this view, when the brain dies, consciousness ceases to exist. Despite centuries of debate, neither perspective has been definitively proven, leaving the question wide open. Religious and spiritual traditions have provided some of the most detailed and imaginative answers to the question of what happens to consciousness after death. Many religions, such as Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism, speak of an afterlife where the soul or consciousness continues to exist in a new state of being. Some traditions, such as Buddhism, explore the concept of reincarnation, where consciousness is believed to be reborn in a new form. Other spiritual perspectives suggest that consciousness returns to a universal source, merging with the divine or the cosmos in a state of unity. These beliefs offer comfort and hope to many, but they remain matters of faith rather than empirical evidence. Another possibility worth considering is that our current understanding of consciousness is too limited to grasp what might happen after death. If consciousness operates on levels or dimensions beyond our current understanding, then death might not be an end but a transition. Imagine the transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly, a profound change that we can only partially understand from the perspective of the caterpillar. Could death be a similar kind of transformation for consciousness? While this idea is purely speculative, it invites us to think beyond the boundaries of what we currently know. Some people, however, find solace in the idea that nothing happens after death. To these individuals, the thought of returning to the same state of non-awareness that existed before birth is a kind of peace. This view aligns with the secular perspective that life is precious because it is finite, and its meaning comes from the experiences we create while we are alive. The idea of nothingness after death is not necessarily bleak. For many, it offers a sense of closure and simplicity. Ultimately, the question of what happens to consciousness after death is as much about life as it is about death. It pushes us to explore the nature of existence, the limits of our understanding, and the mysteries that define the human experience. Whether consciousness ends, transforms, or continues in ways we cannot yet comprehend, the question invites us to reflect on what it means to be alive and aware. So, whether you find comfort in the idea of an afterlife, the possibility of reincarnation, or the peaceful finality of nothingness, the journey to understand what happens to consciousness after death is a journey of discovery, imagination, and wonder. Please do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the Why We Question channel, and join us as we continue to explore the biggest and most fascinating questions of life, death, and everything in between. This is only the beginning, and there is so much more to uncover. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey.